Here we are. Welcome to the offices here at the Leader in Times, and we're going to catch up here with Vice Mayor Taylor. Taylor?
Earl, thanks
Good to
for having
see
me,
you.
sir.
Here we are again. We had a city commission meeting, and you know, just when you thought it was safe to come out of the water, something else comes up.
Every time.
But Taylor's going to get a chance to address that today, and if you didn't get to hear at the city commission meeting last night, we had one city commissioner who opted to resign, and that was Justin Varnes. And we have a story on Justin in today's paper, and also we have his letter of resignation. You can see the whole thing in its entirety. You can also find that at liberalfirst.com if you want to look it up there. And so Taylor, you guys come in the meeting, and all of a sudden things change right off the bat.
Yep. Yeah, and whenever I got to the meeting, I hadn't heard anything about this leading up to it. Whenever I got there, the city clerk said I needed to read this envelope immediately and open it up, and it was Mr. Varnes' resignation letter. Very sad. You know, I felt like we were finally starting to get a really good flow on the board. I loved having Justin on there because we were so close in age. I felt like we really connected on a lot of different things, and it was kind of a really endearing feeling to have two people in our generation serving together. You know, Justin, every interaction I had with Justin was always positive, and I always felt like he was a good, productive member of the team. I also really liked that he represented a lot of different constituents that the rest of us don't represent. So I was very disheartened and very saddened by his resignation from the panel. That being said, you know, he stated that it was, you know, for reasons surrounding, you know, him spending time with his family, making sure he was taking care of that. I'm always a man that I'd say family first. I would liquidate my business, resign from the commission, and do whatever I needed to do to make sure that the well-being of my family was in the right place. So I definitely respect his underlying reason why, but I'm definitely very sad to see him go. I really enjoyed serving with him, Justin. So, Justin, if you get to view this at a later point in time, man, it was excellent serving with you. Hopefully you'll get on some boards in the community or something to where we can serve together in another capacity, but I really enjoyed the time that we had together, man, so sorry to see you go.
I wish I could have got a chance to get to know Justin a little bit better, but I'd just like to say in the short time that I've seen him serve, I can respect the way that he was serving, and I respect the way he ran for the office, and wish him the best of luck. And Justin, whatever the issue is, to say we'll be praying that how you want to move forward and how you see led to move forward is what happens in your life and your family's life. So 3 months, maybe short time, but it was quality service, so we thank you for it.
Yes, sir. And don't be a stranger, man. Feel free to come to those commission meetings anytime that you get the chance, so we'll look forward to seeing you.
Now we're going to talk about a little bit more of some dollars and cents business that the city was addressing last night, and starting with the National Beef Lagoon cleanup project, a significant amount of dollars we're talking about. Taylor, you want to bring us up to speed on that?
So the company that's actually performing the lagoon cleanup for National Beef and the City of Liberal came down. I believe the gentleman's name was Steve Larson from Lagoon Pumping and Dredging Company. But basically, it's a 2-year project. We're already started on it. They're working on some of the ponds right now. A total of 283 million gallons will be pumped out. So there's quite a few things they have to do to the waste to be able to spread it across the fields, make it safe, make it to where the smell is not really bad for Liberal and the surrounding area, things like that. So basically, I can see this being something where they're going to have to present several times about the progress that we're making on the project. You know, from everything they said so far, it's going really well. They said they already aerated a lot of the solid waste, and they're getting it converted over and being able to put on fields. I think a bottleneck that they're hitting is the fact that there's not really a lot of fields that require cow manure in that immediate area within the 5 miles for them to be able to pump directly onto. But I'm very sure, you know, this guy was excellent with his presentation, seemed like a very knowledgeable individual on the subject. So I'm sure they'll figure out applicable solutions for everything. But yeah, pretty expensive project, but definitely one that needs done. You don't want any of that seeping through to your groundwater. So
now, if I remember right, and you guys had a work session on this.
Yes, we did.
And I can't remember 3070 or something, but I believe that the Liberal part was going to be handled through like services that would be provided. So it's not cash money.
Yep.
And if I remember right, the total project on all these cleanups, we're talking about $8 million or so.
Yeah, and I want to say our portion of that was like 2.8, 3.3, something like that inside those lines. But that was the hard thing with National. The numbers always kind of constantly changed. And so like from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, it was like, okay, this meeting was 2.8, well, this meeting was 3.3, this one was 3.1. So it was somewhere in that ballpark. But essentially, you know, the ponds have to be cleaned up not only for National to get their regional plan up and running, but for the City of Liberal to get their standalone plan up and running. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that think since we didn't do this, regional plant with national, they're just going to do their own thing. No, they're going to be utilizing our wastewater facility a lot because they can only pump out to people that are irrigating for 8 to 9 months out of the year. So that means for the rest of those months and the rest of that time period, they're going to have to be pumping that through the city's plant. We'll be conditioning it and getting the nitrate levels down to a safe level. So it's a very long and laborious process. I would imagine, hopefully I'm not sticking my foot down my throat here, I would imagine our standalone facility will be completed and operational within a 2-year period of time. I would think then that's probably on the short end because of the urgency of needing it. Right now our plant is having things break down in it on a weekly basis. So, I know that Cal and Pete Earls were up with KDHE at the beginning of this week having a conversation with them to make sure all the permits were in place and everything's working out well. We haven't ran into any roadblocks on the project so far, so things are looking good. For people that may not have known, National actually sold out to a, where were they out of?
Brazil.
A Brazilian company in the amount of $969
million.
$69 million.
For 51%.
Yes, for 51%.
So controlling interest for almost $1 billion, but
Yep.
49% they didn't buy.
Yes, that's exactly right. So that being said, I know from my position as a commissioner, I am glad that we did the standalone plant because I think that would have provided some immediate instability when it comes to figuring out, okay, well, we already had the contract signed, now a different company owns this. Are they going to see it through? Things like that. But the nice thing is that we've been very open with the national guys. They've been excellent to work with. So we'll continue trying to make sure that relationship flourishes and that we keep trying to help them out in any way we can to show them that we really do care about them. We love having them here in this community. And it's unfortunate when you can't have joint projects work out, but sometimes there's a reason why.
And National Beef is the leading employer in Liberal, and it provides a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs.
And those people then shop at a lot of the stores, and so it's vital right now to our community that we have them here and working. And one thing about when a company is sold, at least it means someone's willing to pay the price for that company. So there's value in it.
Indeed.
If you couldn't give it away, then you got a bad business. But obviously, someone's willing to pay almost $1 billion for just a little over half of it. So,
B.
yeah,
Yes.
with a big B.
Yeah.
With a big B.
That is a big B.
So tell us the exciting information about ordinance number 4006-A1.
I love these ordinances. Okay, so this is part one of a multi-part project that is basically to be able to allow some of the land inside of city limits, but on the outside of where the city limits are lied, to be rezoned as agriculture. So anybody that watched the last meeting, watched Earl and I's last talk after the last meeting, Tom Willis, I believe, was the gentleman that he owns some land that was zoned for apartments out there off of 83 Highway. He was wanting to get that rezoned to be agriculture because they don't plan on putting apartments in anytime soon. This is basically step one in 3 steps that are required of changing the ordinances to make that to where it can happen. So another kind of house cleaning issue, but it's one that we have to have those in place in a certain way to be able to make any adjustments like that.
And cities all have a buffer area, and
Indeed.
anything inside that buffer area follows a certain code. And even if it's not in the city limits, it still is in that buffer zone, and this is the area they're talking about. But these guys, Tom Willis, they've made significant investment in other areas of the county, and so it's definitely looking forward to more apartments, more retail, as Liberal continues to grow. These guys have...
Well, and if you think about where that land's out there, I mean, that will get reconverted to being something, whether it's industrial or whether it's retail sector or apartments. So, I'm sure Tom's just wanting to make back some of his investment in the time period waiting to lead up to that.
And the fact is, basically he's asking for it to be what it is right now. He's not asking for it to be something else yet. He's just saying, I'm going to get to that, just don't hit me with that right now until I'm able to actually put that product on that land. Think of it if you own some acreage and you want to build houses on it, but at the time it's still just grassland. You wouldn't want to pay as if the houses were on it, or that it's commercial space, or that it's residential when it's still farm. So I don't think he's asking, so you think you guys approve that, right?
Yeah, and I think he'll get approved throughout the entire thing. And it doesn't even matter who he is. Anybody that was in the same predicament would have got approved throughout the entire thing because we don't want that land to be we don't want that land to be wasted. So, if he runs cattle on it, goats, whatever he wants to run for the couple of years, that way he shows a return on profit, and then the land's being better utilized.
So the fire department's looking at positive pressure battery-powered fan.
Yes, and you know what's sweet? They're actually called the Bat Fan, which I thought was awesome because the whole time in my mind I was just thinking Bat Fan. But what's awesome about these Bat Fan 45 units is that all of the money for purchasing these was actually a charitable donation, and they never said who donated the money. So if you are the party that donated the money and you're watching this video, thank you very much. That is very generous, and that is going to provide our guys with a lot of excellent training to learn how to handle more of these situations. So basically, and I have a little more of the supplemental information as to what those fans were, but essentially my understanding is that they were for training to better learn how to handle the way that fire moves through buildings, and they can kind of use them to change the situation so that they can train under different circumstances and things like that. Hopefully will lead to a lot more safety for our guys. Yeah, the total purchase amount was $12,150. And basically, yes, so they'll utilize the powered fans to remove byproducts of fire, which is smoke, toxins, etc., during suppression and rescue operations at working structure fires, as well as during technical rescue situations to induce fresh air and remove toxic air from the structure, as well as training. So it should be something really awesome to have inside the community.
I was in a building the other day, and I noticed that they had their fire extinguishers almost down on the floor in the little containers
So
down
you
the
can
floor.
crawl to 'em.
See, and that's what I thought. I thought that's probably smarter than what mine are up halfway up the wall. But you know, if they're on the where are you going to go? Where the smoke goes, you're supposed to drop and crawl, right? That's what we're taught.
Yep.
So, well, I'm glad that the people looking out for the safety of all of us are being trained in the best way possible to be prepared for if it's your house or my house or Taylor's house. So I'm glad that they're getting the tools to be properly trained so they can be ready for any of those, because the last thing we want is for one of our firefighters to be injured or to not be able to perform their job when they're trying to save one of us. So
Indeed.
we thank all of them for their service and appreciate those who are donating so that they have the tools to look out for all of us.
And I've noticed, like the last several meetings, there have been so many generous people that have donated to help out with different facets of the city needing assistance financially to get things that are kind of above and beyond what we standardly budget. So thank you to everybody that donates, and whether it's time or money, thank you. We really appreciate it.
So then, to go from that, now the recreation department is looking at Frisbee golf baskets.
Yes. Okay, so I remember, because I live over by Blue Bonnet, I remember when they had all the Frisbee golf stuff, and I love Frisbee golf, because, I mean, you can't find a better way to spend like 2-3 hours of an afternoon than just going out there with some friends and just throwing some Frisbees. So what they're doing is they're going to purchase 9 new Frisbee golf baskets in the amount of, I did not write it down, but they're going to be purchasing 9 new baskets, and basically they're going to replace all the ones that were there, because they said that the reason they got broke down is a lot of kids that were coming like out of school would like jump on them, move them around, tear them out of the ground. They got rusted over time and stuff. But like Matt Quint, what I love about this guy is he has like an overall vision for the rec department. He keeps adding things in a piece at a time, but you can tell like he's trying to get it all to a point where there's like everywhere in town there's something recreational to do that's tied to the rec department. So I think when you look at that area of having the exercise park, the ball fields, the soccer fields, the park itself, having the Frisbee golf course and the mini golf course, just going to make it all that much better. So I'm really excited about that one.
Well, he's tripling the size, because when I used to throw it, there were three holes, so you had to go back and forth and back and forth. Nine holes. So look forward to seeing what he puts together over there.
$2,560 is what it costs for all 9 baskets, so not too bad at all. And the money was raised by private donors. So once again, thank you very much to whoever donated this money. That is fantastic.
And little fun fact for you, if you do play Frisbee golf, they have different Frisbees. They have like drivers and they have like putters. It's different weights of discs to perform the different responsibilities of golf.
Yes.
So fun. Thank you guys at the rec department.
We'll have to try to organize a Frisbee golf tournament at some point. That'd be sweet.
Maybe have the
have the caddies sitting over there. Like, which disc would you like, sir?
The Leader in Times Frisbee Open.
Yes.
We'll
sponsored by Technology for All.
There you go. And now none of his drones, laying out the best wind patterns and all that stuff. You actually have to play it normal.
That's right.
No help. Okay, diversion fund request for soft uniforms and a portable incinerator.
Yes. Okay, so Chief Molinex came up and presented about getting new soft uniforms for the officers in the department. Now, I actually had never heard of soft uniforms before this meeting and getting to see these, so I did some research online last night. Turns out that they've done a lot of studies and surveys where they found that compared to the old style uniforms that look like kind of a more military look, they look very battle hardened. These new soft uniforms where it has a nice polo shirt underneath and a softer bulletproof vest, not only helps the officers' health because it allows them to take a lot of that. Their waistband weighs anywhere between 24 and 30 pounds, right? So it's causing a lot of lower back issues with these guys that serve for years and years on end. So what these vests allow them to do is move a lot of their equipment onto their chest area to be more accessible and mediate that weight. As well as, in the studies they did, they found that when they'd ask a citizen that just needed assistance to go up to a cop, they would always go to the cop wearing the soft uniforms because they look more approachable. So I'll try to show these as good as I can. I think these two pictures here show it pretty well. But basically, I'll try to see. So these are the soft style uniforms. You can tell he has like a polo shirt on underneath it, and then the vest is a different style than what we've had. Same thing with this picture right here, which is also a decent picture of it. So I think it was awesome. Basically, they were able to do it out of the diversion fund. So I don't think this actually comes out of general budget, comes out of a different budget inside the police department. The amount was not to exceed $35,542.30. They think it'll come in a couple $1,000s less, but they wanted to make sure they had that open opportunity there for it to move up. On the incinerator, this thing's gonna be sweet. So it's $4,250, $4,200. And basically what it is, it allows them to burn drugs. So if you're a person in the community, let's say you get a leg injury or something like that, and they prescribe you oxycodone, and you have a full bottle sitting in your house, and you're a good, honest person, you're done, you don't need the pain medication anymore, so you don't want to keep it, you will now be able to go down to the police department, turn in those drugs, they will be able to document it, and then burn them to where they do not exist anymore. Also, it'll help with some of the things that are coming out of, I want to call it inventory, but it's not, the evidence room. After a case is done, this will allow us to dispose of those kind of things. It's more overall just kind of a safety thing, another amenity for the community to make it to where people that either come across drugs and paraphernalia and don't know what to do, but don't want to leave it sitting out there because they don't want a kid to come across it, you can now get a hold of the department, turn that in. So it'll definitely be a pretty sweet deal. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to go down there when they get it.
My question, Taylor, if you can answer it, is how have they been getting rid of it up until now?
I don't know. No, that's a good question. And like any department, like where does that go? When the DEA busts somebody and picks up 500 pounds of cocaine, where does that end up? It's always interesting.
Yeah, not that we've had any of those.
No,
but it goes somewhere. It's got to be used somewhere. But it's great that they have the machine to do it properly and get rid of it and get it off the street, get it out of people's hands, and I think we all know about the opioid issues going on across the country. If there's some way that any of that stuff can be...
That's what it looks like, the machine. So that box right there, that's where all the drugs go into. Then they drop it in the incinerator. Done.
And hopefully everyone standing around that will have the proper gear to not have to breathe any of that in.
Stand downwind from that one. That's going to be a bad day.
Yeah. Okay, so LEAPS, this is the organization that kind of helps with the search for one.
Absolutely.
Of finding a new city manager. But tell us a little bit about what you were updated from LEAPS.
So the very first thing that was brought up by Commissioner Carlisle is he said, should we adjust the amount of money that the new city manager is going to get paid? Right now, the range is from 120 to 135. There was some brief discussion about it. We decided to leave it alone because they can always come in at the front part of that pay scale and then work their way up. They don't necessarily have to receive the full thing right up front. The main thing was Sheena, which is our HR director with the city, needed to get our approval to move forward with this. So basically, every single one of these pages you see has multiple different kinds of advertisement across them that the LEAPS people with the Kansas League of Municipality are using to advertise for our position across the state of Kansas and other states. We basically decided to get rid of a few of them. The main ones that we got rid of, we will not be doing Missouri Municipal League, and a lot of these was because it put us over budget, because they cost, Missouri cost an extra $150. There's some that stayed that I think are pretty crazy, like Mississippi, but it was free.
Zero.
So you might as well go ahead and do it. But we got rid of Rhode Island, KSCB radio, because that was what put us over budget, was $910. We added back in the League of Women in Government, took out the National League of Cities, Public Service Careers, and Arkansas Municipal League, as well as the Iowa League and Virginia League. So now that we decided what was going to be taken out and what was going to be added in, now LEAPS is going to truly kick in. Within 30 days, we should have an update, hopefully start to get to see some candidates and be able to know a little bit better what we're looking forward to as far as our future permanent city manager.
And one other item that you guys talked about last night, it was kind of more in the public discussion. Some of these, we haven't had any rain to really mess with it at this point, but at some point we are going to have a lot more rain. You're going to have to deal with making sure that we're still moving forward on reduced flooding and those kind of things. So I know you guys talked a little bit about some of the placement of lagoons or retention ponds, and so maybe give us a little update on, I know you've been talking with the engineers about that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I've been keeping up with Earl's Engineering about it. They're still working on the comprehensive overall plan, because these things take time. I mean, they got to shoot everything in town. They got to see the elevation levels of everything. They got to figure out what we already have, how it can be modified. So, it's normal for these things to take months to develop. Basically, the two individuals that we had come speak from the community on that behalf was Frank Friesen and Tony Wisenat. Most of us commissioners have gotten with them privately, taken a look at their parts of town, seeing what their ideas were. Realistically, we didn't comment at all, and I know myself didn't comment at all about placement of ponds that we heard from Earl's. It was, Tony had suggested that, maybe a retention pond out there by the high school on the city-owned land over there by where Liberal New Iron and Metal is would be a good place for another retention pond. We told them we didn't know if that would be a good idea because how close is the airport, things like that. They were just wanting an update, and keep in mind, I think it's great that they came, and I encourage them to keep coming, and anybody else. This flooding plan, it affects all of us. I mean, what you're going to see, in my opinion, is we're going to get a lot of the parts of town that have flooded for decades fixed. But guess what? When you fix one thing, what happens? Oh, crap, now another part of town floods that never used to flood before. This is going to take years to hammer out to get to where everybody in Liberal's protected. But I keep stressing this. We need to take our time, think this through, make sure that before we start spending any amount of money on getting this stuff done, that we fluently understand and believe that the game plan we have will be executed properly and will work for everybody in Liberal. Because from what I can see in the past, not only has not enough ever been done about flooding, but every time it was like, okay, well, let's just throw a pond in here, or, let's just revert this pond to going somewhere else. It was nobody ever sat down and said, all right, how do we fix all of it? Let's look at the whole city and figure out how to make a plan. So I would imagine in the next 2 months, Earl's Engineering will be coming to a meeting, presenting that information, and we'll finally be able to start seeing that preliminary plan of everything and how it's going to work out and start getting shovels in the ground and getting this done.
And I know someone came and talked to you guys about where Garfield Elementary used to be, and the possibility of a city park where Garfield used to be.
Yes, indeed. I actually believe that was Tony Wisenat as well.
Also.
Yeah, because I drew a line from his down to that. Because I think basically what was discussed, because it was like in between, Tony came up, then Brad came up, then Tony came back up. But Brad was saying, the Billy's Car Show is May 12th. It's an awesome event. Everybody should go check that out. They got some sweet rides out there. But basically what Tony was saying is that he would like to see that area where Garfield School used to be, have the equipment left, be turned to a new park area, things like that. Thought it was a great idea. Now, I could be mistaken on this, but I want to say that the school district gave the playground equipment to the city, and we are planning on putting it out at our Keeneland Park so that they have it out there, which I think, it's kind of a 6, 1/2 dozen the other thing. I mean, that's good either way. I'd say we have a lot more parks in town and amenities in our parks in town than anything that our Keeneland has, so it's nice to see them get some love out there. On the flip side of that, if we can throw a park in, great. I mean, it's never going to rub people the wrong way to have more parks. So
when they gave you that, did they give you the property too, or?
That I don't know, because that last night, at last night's meeting was the first time I'd even heard of that, because that's more of a between city personnel and the school district type thing, and it was never brought up to us commissioners yet, as far as I know. It was never brought up to me as a commissioner yet. So I did not even know that they were giving us any equipment until Brad brought that up. But I would imagine that they deeded it over and just transferred it from one tax to the other.
We'll verify that just to make sure, but certainly a nice, complete, flat city block that something could be done with, some kind of either housing or a park.
We could get the 28 extra Dorothy statues and place them all out there, make a little Dorothy garden.
Put a little chain, turn them on the inside. We have to be in the middle to see them.
Yes.
But I'm still hoping that someone will step out and paint one of those things. And then once we see how beautiful it looks once it's painted, maybe then maybe then the rest will be. Someone may say it's graffiti the first time, but hey, let's get one. Someone do one.
Yes, I just wish that we would have got the bronze ones that we were supposed to get, because how cool would they have looked 20 years from now when they greened out like the Statue of Liberty?
Except, one, bronze is a lot more expensive than these.
It
But
is.
two, the same model would have been the problem. If you would have had the one like we have out at the Dorothy's house.
Yeah, the official one. Yes, the official one.
And if that was all over town, you could have made that out of wood, and it still would have been beautiful. But I think that I'm trying to speak for the community. I don't speak on behalf of the community. I just try to share
Speaks
what's
as a
been shared
member
with
of the
me.
community.
Is that it's really the model that was used. I see a couple of likes on that just come across. So see, I'm not the only one. If you think that the Dorothy's model wasn't the best model, let us know. Comment on here or send us a message. Just let us know. But I think that long term there'll be a plan that maybe can improve the Dorothy statue project and maybe give them a new home and
gotta be something we
remodel
can
them.
do with
Or
them.
paint them and let's see what happens with there. Just a
You
brown.
really can't do anything to make them worse. So I mean, anything
What do
we
you got to
try
lose?
should help. You
Yeah,
know.
there's nothing to lose.
Hello, Shell. How are you doing?
So, and I see Mayor Segrist is tuning in. So
Hey.
thank you, Connie, and also thank you for your service. And
Absolutely. Love serving with you.
so, did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. The only other thing of note was in the items from citizens. Steve from Therapeutic Counseling Services came to give everybody in the community an update about the event they're putting on for National Prevention Week. That will be in Light Park on May 5th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hot dogs will be served from 11 to 2. They're going to have a psychologist there counseling people. They're going to have a canine unit out there, the drunk driving goggles. They're going to have all sorts of stuff out there going on. Bouncy houses, a bunch of stuff for kids. So, I mean, it should be a really cool event. I hope that they find a lot of success in it. One thing that he brought up that just absolutely blows my mind. He said that they're seeing in our community a huge rise in the amount of opioid addiction and heroin usage in even 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. And that just astounds me because, you know, back when I was in high school, was there some underage drinking? Maybe, but that was it. That was the extent of it. I remember having conversations when we were like 14 and 15 where you'd watch a movie and somebody was doing a hard drug and you're like, oh my God, you know, that seems terrible. Why would anybody do that? And to see like a shift, a paragon shift in generations to where kids that young are sticking needles in themselves, that blows my mind. I think it speaks a lot to parenting. Because man, I got to tell you, I feel like if I had ever tried hard drugs like that, my dad, regardless of where he was in the world, would have morphed to me and just don't ever again. So it breaks my heart because man, you know, you look at our youth and you see our future, and when you find out that they're struggling with things like that, it's like, good Lord, man, I hope that we get rid of that problem. And what do you say, Shell? Dorothy statues are ugly and scary.
Thank you, Shell. We'll form a Dorothy support group.
We'll tear them down.
Support group, and yeah, they're doing the other stuff. Why can't we take these down?
That's right.
Well, and I'm trying to mention that. Sure that I can't even imagine. I don't even take like needles now.
No.
Much less thinking as a 6-year-old getting shot up or something.
Blows my mind. Yeah, breaks my heart. And the only other person that came with JP Harness, he works at Southern Office Supply, great guy. He also owns a tattoo parlor here in town and a salon, I believe. Hopefully I didn't get that wrong. He had came right when I got into office about asking about what I call the sin tax, which what a sin tax is when you live in the Bible Belt, like we do, and people frown upon tattoos, frown upon adult bookstores, things like that. So what you do is you charge those businesses more to get open than you do other sectors of industry. Well, we kind of have this here, you know, because basically it's $5 for a business license for 99% of businesses, right? But if you own a tattoo parlor, you have to get an extra permit that's $500. If you open an adult bookstore, $2,500, things like that. And so he came back just to see, have we gotten anything done yet? Has it even been talked about, things like that? So I was glad he brought it back up. Alicia made some comments on it. We all kind of discussed it, so hopefully we'll start to work on this now and be able to figure something out. Because I don't care what kind of industry it is. Liberal needs to be able to jump on every opportunity that comes our way. And adult bookstores and tattoo parlors make just as much sales tax as any other kind of business. And I'm telling you right now, Liberal, in my opinion, is not in a place where we are picky enough to be able to pick and choose what kind of industries we want. We need money, sales tax money, from any kind of industry that wants to come in. So, I hope that we can get this settled out so that we don't have that issue anymore where somebody's trying to get their business open and runs into an unfortunate thing like a sin tax.
Well, just like to say, I don't have any. I'll never have any, but that doesn't mean someone else can't make that choice. If they want to have a tattoo, that's their call. And here's the thing, what I've been told is, much like a barber shop, a tattoo parlor has to meet state guidelines. They get visited by state regulators. They have to show that everything is clean and that they're doing everything by the book. And so it's already a regulated industry.
Yes, indeed.
They're going to get checked out, and they've got to buy the state licensing, stuff like that.
Yep.
But for the city to charge an additional $500 as opposed to, like me, I paid $5. You paid $5. Yep. Our businesses were $5. Why? Who decides why one is $5 and one's $500? Well, guess what? He's one of the guys that can decide that.
Yay!
But that's, I think, what he came and discussed was just looking for fairness and equity in those prices. And I'm saying, I'm not a tattoo guy. I'm never going to be a tattoo guy. But that doesn't mean one guy's business should be taxed at the rate of, what is that? That's 100 times what my business was charged to do business. So I think that those are important things there. And it looks like Shell also, Taylor wants to know why you're not bringing a Hobby Lobby. Why haven't you guys got Hobby Lobby here yet?
Hey, trust me when I say, Shell, I would love a Hobby Lobby here more than anyone because my wife loves that store. Half the decorations in my store came from Hobby Lobby. So I would love to see a Hobby Lobby come here. I can't talk a lot about some of the developmental phases that we're in, about how we're trying to expand out retail and everything else, but I can tell you guys definitively, even though I can't share the deets with you, I can tell you there are a lot of very big projects that are on the table right now that we are aggressively pursuing as a commission. I know I'm aggressively pursuing them as a commissioner, and we have some very awesome private investors that are working with us. So hopefully there will be very bright things on the horizon. I think that, like we've discussed before, liberal is on that precipice of breaking through. And it would not surprise me at all, and hopefully I don't eat my words on this, 3 years from now, if this doesn't happen, I will apologize on this same stream. But I have a very good feeling that you are going to see our retail sector, not probably double, but big box wise, have more than we've ever had in the city of Liberal within the next 4 years. And keep in mind, I don't talk a lot of crap. I'm not a commissioner that goes around town saying, hey, we're going to get this and that and that. So when I say that, take some heat into it, because I really think a lot of things are going to start working out. Obviously, everybody in the community, if you've been keeping up with things, knows that the Pinnacle Investment Group already put in they're putting in a $70 million development out there on Tucker Road. That's going to be all sorts of big box stores and kind of an outdoor outlet mall style thing. So that already is done. They'll have shovels in the ground on that later this year, which would be sweet. But there are some other big things on the table. I know the county commissioners are working their butts off trying to get stuff in. We're working our butts off. We have private investors that are working their butts off. So, I think some things are going to start to work out. And I swear, Shell, if we can get a Hobby Lobby, I will pursue that with every ounce and every fiber of my being, because I love Hobby Lobby. I think it'd be great for our community. Mickey Durbin, I appreciate what you're doing, Taylor. Thank you very much, Mickey. I appreciate the comment and the support. I don't get nearly as much of that as the others, so I always love it when people are positive. I appreciate everybody in the community, everybody that comes to those meetings, everybody that watches these and stays informed. The biggest thing that I've tried teaching people lately, I've had, I guess I wouldn't say quite a few, probably 30 people reach out to me and just kind of chew into me about things. And I started to realize that there is kind of a mentality around here, in my opinion, where people don't understand what local government truly is and how it's supposed to work. So I'll break this down in the simplest fashion I can for people that like hate our commission or hate us as individuals and have never even met us, as to why that's not a great idea. So you have 5 commissioners in this community, right? Us 5 commissioners represent the 20,000 of you. So if we don't know your views, if you've never reached out to me, you've never reached out to Jack, Connie, formerly Justin, or Tony, and shared with us your views, then how are we supposed to represent that? So like I know when I'm voting as a commissioner, I would say only 30% of the way I vote is how I feel. 70% of it is from how I feel based on my constituents that not only helped put me into office, but that confide in me about how they want to see things go. Because that's my place as a commissioner. I did not get on this commission to go up there and rule with an iron fist and do what Taylor wants to do. I got on there to listen to everybody in the community, work together, bring us together, and try to get done what we want to do. I would say 3 or 4 things I can blatantly think of. I didn't feel that way, but I voted the opposite way, the way I felt, because my constituents were basically coming and saying, Taylor, this is the way this needs to go. And once a ton of your constituents do that, you realize, okay, there's a lot of people that want to see this done. My responsibility is to do that. So I greatly appreciate the comment, Mickey. And anybody else out there, if you feel like your views aren't being represented, my cell phone number is public. It's on the city website. I make time out every single day for people in person, via text message, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, everything else. So make sure and reach out to us. If you don't want to reach out to me, that's fine. Reach out to Jack, reach out to Connie, reach out to Tony, or whoever the new commissioner is going to be. But, if you feel disgruntled, instead of just getting on social media and complaining about it, which does absolutely nothing, why don't you try to reach out to some of us, get involved, and see if you can be a part of the solution, and then we're making sure that we're representing your views in the meeting. So I hope that doesn't come across as scathing. I definitely don't mean it to be. It's frustrating when people that never participate in these things are the biggest ones that are saying a bunch of nasty things on social media, and it's like, that doesn't help anything. What helps it is when you come to a meeting and you share your view in front of everybody and gets people talking, gets us thinking of solutions.
So you can also participate by commenting on this thread, or 2 weeks from now on Wednesday. And we're going to try to do these through the lunch hour. That's what we're really trying to push. Sometimes things mess with that, but try to spend your lunchtime with us and comment. I mean, this works out better if you're participating and you're asking questions, and give Taylor a chance to answer them, or take them back to City Hall, or take them to the commission. And so make this a two-way communication.
The more the merrier.
Ask questions, make posts, and then that way this can be even a more effective tool. Taylor has been the first one to volunteer to come talk to you face to face right here and share with the reaction to the meeting, and we appreciate that. And now it's a way for you to also interact with Taylor and with your elected official here, and so take advantage of that opportunity.
Absolutely.
And with that, we're going to say
real quick, before we close it, I do want to say, I'll announce the date the next meeting, but when I ran for office, I told people that I wanted to have kind of consistent public forums that would allow people that have things to share about the way they want to see the city ran, that I would start hosting public forums for people to be able to come talk to me and do that. I'm finally on the cusp of hosting my first one. I hope that there's a lot more positive things shared in it than negative, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing how it works out. So I'm still getting everything organized. It'll probably be at the Rock Chamber Depot if I can use that facility. I'll definitely include the newspaper, maybe hopefully have the presence of Earl down there that day. But come 2 Wednesdays from now, when we do the next one of these, I'll have the date solidified, I'll get it set up, and we'll make sure and tell everybody. That way, as many of you as possible that want to come participate with the city can definitely be involved in that. So keep your eyes out for that. I'll post it on my personal Facebook. I'll probably let Earl know so he can share it so more people in the community can see it. But I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your criticisms, solutions, complaints, everything else.
So with that, we're going to say thank you. Keep in touch, keep informed, keep engaged.
Yes.
And in 2 weeks, we'll see you right here live on Facebook. And anytime that you're watching it, enjoy it. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Take care.